that we can build a coordinated system in St. Louis. We've got proof that we can work all levels of the strategic ladder that we need to work as it relates to after-school programming. So as we tell the story, it's now okay to keep going back to the state of Missouri. It's okay to go back to the city of St. Louis. It's okay to go back to the private foundations and the public funders, because I'm in total agreement with what Greg said earlier. My gosh, over time, I expect and hope that there will be not only a line item in the city of St. Louis's budget, that there's going to be a line item in the state for Harry and all the other after-school programming in the state of Missouri. But again, St. Louis is the capital of Show Me, and we are in the Show Me state, so it's critical that we deliver. So, yes.
It raises an interesting question about process, though, I think. If we take California, which, passed 109 and are now getting $500 million for after-school programs. And if we look at, where they were in 2001 and where we are now, it seems to me that it was really the PR campaign more than the data that sold Proposition 109 in California. That with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the champion, that they sold people on the value of after school. All the things that you all have talked about, even though they might not have had hard data. So I guess I'm raising that to say, at what point should we in this community, despite being the Show Me capital, start a process of public awareness with the goal of increasing funding? Because if you listen to what Greg said, it's pretty clear that, unless, and my notion always has been, for this kind of program, after-school programs, you've got to ultimately get public funding. There's not enough private money out there to sustain after-school programs.
Well, all you have to do is look at stadiums. You want a good example of what a public campaign around public dollars and access. Try to take a professional team out of a city because you don't have a new stadium. And you certainly will see the most successful campaigns in the country around new public stadiums. Okay? And that is a concerted effort that says if you don't raise taxes to pay for the stadium, you won't have a professional team. And certainly, there are very few teams. And then in Seattle, where that actually happened, they're leaving Seattle. And so those are the things. But I want to talk about the culture that we live in around quality. One of the things I did 2 years ago in my organization, and we're different because we have access to resources, is we wanted to change the culture and the conversation. Most providers would come to me and say, listen, I can do quality work, I don't have the money. And I reversed that. I said, well, I'm going to give you the money. Let's see if you can do quality. Because most is a chicken and egg on me. Like, I can't do quality because I don't have the money. Well, we say, well, you got to do quality for us to give you the money. And so we did an interesting part. We raised our average expenditure per pupil, and then we invested separately into the organization's infrastructure. So they didn't have a development director. They didn't have anybody doing research. We invested in those staff positions, because the reality is that most of us who are on the funding side fund behinds in the seat, right? I mean, we fund, you got to have 60 kids and you'll get this much money. We don't fund the organization to be able to have capacity for those 60 kids. And so we did a thing where we invested probably in the neighborhood, the average award was about $300,000, but the average additional was about $100,000 to $150,000. That means staff positions, that means some other needs that the organization had. And then we said to those organizations, from an accountability perspective, deliver the goods. So let's not have an argument about resource allocation. We've solved that issue. We had a negotiation. This is what you needed. We said, and we were somewhat close to what they needed and what they asked us. We obviously, in the world of asking for money, you probably are asking 30% more or 50% more than you actually need, because that's just the mentality of the way people work. I mean, that's fundraising 101, right? You always ask for more than you need, and if you get close to it, you've been successful. So we had a realistic engagement. We provided investment in leadership, because I believe, and I said this in my last meeting, we are not getting off of first base unless we have strong leadership in nonprofits. They do it in schools, principal leadership academies, teacher training. Let's have the same accountability and resources in our own nonprofit organizations. If the expectation is that we do quality and we work with schools.